Season's greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here, and welcome back to Christmas in July, the show where I review a Christmas special each and every day of the month of July. It's driving me quite crazy. I'm not gonna lie at all. Oh boy, oh god, what have I gotten myself into? All right, so this is the gift that keeps on giving. Be it a good thing or a bad thing. So tonight we're going to take a look at actually the special. When I saw this on the video store rack, I kind of seriously, like, that was it. That was the moment for me where I was like, okay, holy crap, there's so many Christmas specials that I don't even know about that we have to do one a night. We have to do at least one a night if we want to. And I feel like with Christmas in July, we've covered some of the big ones, but there's got to be at least another follow-up to Christmas in July to go over. Oh, I mean, geez, there's so many that we haven't even gotten to yet and that we're not going to have a chance to get to this year. Oh, my God, we haven't even scratched the surface of Hanna-Barbera, with the Flintstones and the Smurfs and all that good stuff. I'm not sure if we have time to get to any of that, but really, this was it. This was the thing that when I saw it, I was like, wow, like that is some obscurity right there. Darkwing Duck. It's a wonderful leaf. Ha ha ha, you get that title there? Oh yes, oh yes. Yeah, I saw this at the video store rack and I was like, okay, like we gotta make this thing a daily thing. And speaking of being daily, I'm kind of a perfectionist, and I will admit when I have messed up, and yesterday I had a bit of a migraine, so I couldn't get to doing the review of this yesterday like I was originally scheduled to, so in exchange, my dear people, in exchange for me being absent on that one day, I will always make it up to you by giving you 2 reviews, and those 2 reviews are coming tomorrow. Coming tomorrow, I will be diving into the comic strip territory of Christmas in July. I will be reviewing both the Garfield and Friends episode entitled A Garfield Christmas, conveniently enough, and also something that I've been really looking forward to getting to. This is kind of going outside of the lines of what we usually do with Christmas in July, but yeah, this heavy-duty thing right here. Oh, I love this baby to death. I love it, I love it, I love it. I cradle it. It is the complete Calvin and Hobbes, the 3-volume set. What are these sticky notes, you ask? What are these sticky notes? These are the best Christmas-related strips that I could find throughout the 3-volume set that I've chosen to highlight for you guys. Adventure Blue Dude will probably be there with me, and it should be a lot of fun. I'm just going to go through, read all the comic strips. There's really kind of a reoccurring thing in Calvin and Hobbes where Calvin writes to Santa and gets kind of more and more disenfranchised with Santa every year. A lot of interesting stuff, kind of stuff that keeps coming back that you'll notice that Watterson keeps doing. So, so I'm kind of basically going to track what Bill Watterson would write for Christmas on Calvin and Hobbes through the decade that it was in publication. That should be a fun show. Oh man, I know it's kind of a niche thing, but and it's not technically a Christmas special, but I'm looking forward to doing that. Okay. Ugh. Oh my god, that thing literally, weighs a ton. Oh my god. Let me take a quick tea break. Good stuff. Alright, so on to It's a Wonderful Leaf. Darkwing Duck. This is a show that I remember fondly as a kid. However, I'm kind of coming to realize that I didn't really watch that much of it. This has kind of been brought up before in discussions with Blue Dragon 5 and whatnot, but I didn't really have Disney Channel as a kid until the late 90s, early 2000s. So I really missed out on the big Disney afternoon lineup when it was going on in its prime. So like with the DuckTales and the Gummy Bears and the Darkwing Duck and that sort of good stuff. Unfortunately, I kind of missed out, and I had to kind of go back and rewatch some of that stuff. But Darkwing Duck, I always remember, like, I love the design. I love the, you know, the big hat and the purple coat and cape. It's such an eye-pleasing design. Of course, it's a really fun concept, you know, just essentially the idea of just Batman in the form of a duck. And I don't know, it's just a really interesting concept and idea, and it also features my favorite Disney character of all time, probably. I mean, I don't know, that's kind of hyperbolic to say that, you know, but Launchpad McQuack, he's up there. He's up there for me. I love the hell out of Launchpad McQuack. I would get a Launchpad McQuack tattoo if I had the money. That's how much I love Launchpad McQuack. Ain't that right, Mr. McD? So, Launchpad McQuack's in here, you know. Jim Cummings, an amazing voice actor, giving his all as the role of Darkwing Duck, as well as a couple other characters in the show. The thing is, my local video store when I was a kid, actually, I believe it was just one video store that had any Darkwing Duck. And I remember Darkwing Duck was something that I knew about and I wanted to seek out and learn more about, just because I really like the design. I really like the concept of the duck superhero. But the only thing I could find was like 2 VHS tapes that I would constantly like rent out. And I believe that was like a cumulative to like 4 episodes. I believe it was like 2 episodes per tape. So really, as much as I like Darkwing Duck as a series, as much as I appreciate it, unfortunately, I'm going to have to say I have not really seen all that much of it. I mean, I really need to go back and kind of get my fill of it. DuckTales is the show that I am much more kind of well-versed in. I got all the DVDs and stuff for DuckTales, and you know, I was into the game and the theme song and everything. So DuckTales really, I kind of think is my... I think most people prefer Darkwing Duck, but for me, I kind of like the simplicity of DuckTales a little more. But I digress. That's kind of a debate for another day. But yeah, you know, out of the 2 Duck shows, DuckTales was definitely the one that I am more familiar with. But having said that, you know, we've got this awesome little piece of box art in front of us. Don't you like this? Don't you like this piece of art? It's nice, isn't it? I believe this came out of the Disney Movie Rewards Club, which my mom is a part of. So, got a lot of good Disney DVDs that way. I actually got the DuckTales movie, Treasure of the Lost Lamp, through that. Kick-ass movie. Maybe one day we'll go back and review all the Disney Toons movies, like the good ones. I mean, like, I guess specifically Goofy Movie and the DuckTales movie, but I digress. So, are you ready? Are you ready to indulge in It's a Wonderful Leaf? Let's read what's on the back of the box, shall we? What if Christmas were stolen? Well, then we'd have the Grinch. Not to worry, Darkwing Duck is on the case. Upset by St. Canard's rudest Christmas shoppers, Bushroot, the botanical bandit, decides that if he can't enjoy Christmas, then no one can. At the same time, Goslin, who claims to be the terror that enwraps in the night, oh god, may have a few things to learn about the spirit of giving. But Leaf to it, Darkwing, oh, I'm sorry, Leaf, oh my god, that's the pun. Leaf it to Darkwing, wow, that's a terrible fucking pun. Oh god. Leaf it to DW to nip the root of the problem in the bud and spruce up the whole town. Enjoy Darkwing Duck, the laughter, and the pure holiday fun with your entire family. Yeah. So one would assume that this being kind of named after It's a Wonderful Life and whatnot, that there'd be a Scrooge in this, and there's a villain, but he doesn't really have much of a Scrooge arc, so I guess that's strike number 1 against the special. Like, spoiler alert, I didn't really like this that much. I didn't. I'll get into why, but I was kind of surprised by how much I was kind of underwhelmed by this whole thing. It was very, I don't know, I guess unmemorable is the word, but anyways, let's get into it. I got my little note sheet. I got notes, so let's get into the synopsis. Darkwing Duck, It's a Wonderful Leaf. So we start with a classic scene straight out of a Christmas setting. We start with a town square and people ice skating. I mean, isn't that nice? We just see that all the time. And then shopping craziness. There's a big tug of war over a bear and everything like that. You know, just usual Black Friday happiness. Just usual shopping spree fun. You know, just oh god. Oh, just kind of hammering the point in. You know, the funny thing about these Christmas specials, just by and large, is that like all of them that were made in like the late 80s, early 90s with the crazy Christmas shopping, you have no idea how bad it became. Just saying. It's like, you know, it was bad then. It has only gotten worse from here. But anyways, so we see our main antagonist for this episode, Bushroot. This is a character I don't really like. I remember his design. I guess his whole backstory is he's kind of like a little bit of a Dr. Jekyll, not Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. He's sort of, I mean, he's just kind of a mad scientist type who transformed himself into like a half duck, half plant. I don't know. Excuse me for not really being that, you know, that fluent with this guy's backstory. Like I said, I've only seen about 4 episodes of this show, so. Oh boy, so it's kind of going to be a little bit of haziness with the characters in general, but I will plow through it. Because that is my job here on Christmas in July. So, okay. So yes. Anyways, Bushroot, he is, you know, he's just making the holiday rounds. He's shopping just like anyone else, but by God, everyone keeps getting in his way. It's just a whole big mob fest with Bushroot, and he gets kicked into the plant section of the mall, which, of course, you might think like, oh, okay, well that's cool. Bushroot can, you know, he can go and get some shopping done because it's not very crowded in this section, and plants are really kind of what Bushroot needs. But no, unfortunately, the mob of Christmas shoppers has to go into that area as well. Bushroot, there's a big mob that springs for a bunch of watering cans, I think, and then Bushroot, after the mob leaves, he picks up like a really like bent up and broken watering can. He's like, all right, this'll do. And then this asshole comes up and just takes it from him. Oh god, so Bushroot, you know, he's really not having a good day, and so essentially his plan is kind of put into motion. Like, god damn it, he hates Christmas, he hates this madness, he hates the insanity of Christmas shopping, and so he is going to, in his own words, he wants the people to be glad that Christmas only comes once a year. Ha ha ha. So, yes, so our villain story is kind of established there. And then we get to a scene of Darkwing Duck and Launchpad McQuack back at the Drake household. And Darkwing Duck, after kind of an ironically timed, oh man, it's too bad that Christmas only comes once a year, he looks straight at the camera and then utters a great line. He's just like, Launchpad, let's get decorative. I am not doing Jim Cummings' Darkwing Duck justice. I know that for a fact. But yes, let's get decorative. So Darkwing, I was kind of expecting more of a kick-ass montage after that line, but essentially all it comes down to is him kind of strewing the lights over this tree, which Launchpad then proceeds to get caught up in. Oh, sorry, Sorry, I just got caught up in my work. Oh, God. Okay, and then along come Gosselin and Honker. And Gosselin, she's racing down her sled. You know, well, actually, it's Darkwing's sled, but she's racing down it regardless. She's going down the stairs, over furniture and everything. Darkwing's like, hey, that's my sled. And he grabs it from her, and it crumbles into a million pieces. Bum, bum, bum. Oh, well, at least it wasn't as significant as Rosebud was to Citizen Kane. So, So Goslin, of course, classic kid trope with this kind of holiday special. She cannot wait to open her presents, and Darkwing has enforced strict security measures to make sure that she indeed waits, holds out the tradition, and waits until morning. And I love Goslin's reaction to that, because she's just like, "You really expect me to wait until morning? I can't hold on. I can't hold out that long. It's just impossible. That's so far away." And oh my God, that was probably the one moment in the episode that really got me nostalgic for Christmas, because it's just like, oh boy, as an insomniac weirdo nerd who kind of has very, very erratic sleeping hours. Oh God, the days of, oh, how I miss the days that you would just like lie in bed and wait and wait and wait for morning, and oh man, just the simple thrills of being a kid. I thought it was well illustrated in that little moment. So afterwards, Goslin and Honker, they are stationed on the couch. Goslin's got her little binoculars, and she's, they're kind of staking out the presents. She goes to grab a present, and an alarm goes off, an alarm that's going to be kind of important later. So put that in your notes. But Darkwing, he's like, "Goslin, you aren't opening your presents, are you?" And Goslin, she's like, "Of course not, Dad. I'm just rearranging an ornament." So okay, so let's see. I believe that's it with the Drakes for now. Well, yeah. After she opens another present, and then Drake just pops straight out of the box. Oh God, good old-fashioned cartoon logic. Okay, let's see. So then we get to Bushroot, and his evil plot is he's going to put these stars on trees, which kind of act as homing devices / kind of mind control devices, I guess. And I gotta tell you, man, these trees kind of are a little bit disquieting. They really remind me of the brooms from Fantasia. They're just sort of like, characterized just enough without actually having any sort of emotion or anything to be a little bit creepy. But so let's see. So after getting control of the trees, he starts out in a tree farm, but then he goes quickly to a mall, and Bushroot, he essentially just starts trolling people. He he has a tree steal a present from a little girl and put it in the pocket of a man, who then gets beaten mercilessly by a woman with a purse. There's a lot of physical violence going on in this episode. And then there's also, speaking of physical violence, there's a tree right behind the mall Santa that, takes the mall Santa's bell, whacks him over the head with it, and then gives it to another guy, and then the Santa runs up to the guy with the bell, and then whacks him over the side of the head with the bell. I mean, Jesus Christ, people are just getting whacked over the side of the head left and right. But point being, Bushroot, he's essentially, like I said, he's just trolling people, and he just kind of, he's just kind of wanting to cause havoc and wanting people to be as miserable as he was. So that's essentially his plan. I like the line of when the mother's beating the guy for seemingly stealing the present. She's going like, "Take this and this and this." And then the guy's like, "Ow, and ow, and ow." Oh, God. So let's see. So then we see another mall Santa. Actually, I think the other Santa, the one with the bell, was just, one of the Santas that you see with the bell, the charity Santas. But then we see the actual mall Santa, and, he is next to two Christmas trees that basically devour him. It's actually kind of disturbing the way that these trees just kind of lean into the Santa and just kind of swallow him up. And then out emerges Bushroot Santa. Okay, big thing to note here. I very much believe that this Bushroot as Santa Claus was inspired by the Grinch. To me, it's like a splitting image of the Grinch. It might just be a coincidence because of the character's skin color, but I don't know. The long fingers, the green skin, the mannerisms. It looked very Grinch-like, and that pleased me. That pleased me to see. So, but one person isn't buying it, and that person is Tank. So Tank, he comes up and he's like, "You're not Santa, you're not fooling me." And then he pulls the beard off, and in return, one of the trees whacks Tank with a candy cane, and Tank goes flying across the mall. All the way across the mall. So meanwhile, Tank's mother sees this, and she's very worried, but Tank's father, Herb Muddlefoot, all he can think of is Santa. He sees Santa, and he jumps right on Bushroot's lap. Yeah. Oh God. So then the woman with the purse just kind of comes up and starts straight up beating on Bushroot, and then we have a classic little tradition in these holiday specials: the impossibly high stack of presents, which is held by none other than Launchpad McQuack, appropriately enough. So Launchpad and Drake, they're doing some last-minute Christmas shopping, I guess. Actually, this scene kind of confused me, because it's like, actually, yeah, this scene really confused me. This is why I don't like this fucking special, to tell you the truth. Okay, so it's like, hear me out. So, oh man, the chronological order of this episode is just all kinds of shit when I think about it. Oh God, so Darkwing, it's kind of like that thing with The Simpsons where Homer's at the parking lot of the mall, and then suddenly he's at work. So Darkwing, we saw in the previous scene that is it Christmas Eve? I guess it's not Christmas Eve. I guess it must not be Christmas Eve in that scene. Wait, I thought it must be Christmas Eve because didn't Darkwing say you specifically have to wait until morning? Or was it just Christmas morning? I'm getting myself all kinds of confused, but essentially, my point is that why is Darkwing buying more presents and an impossibly large stack of presents when, in fact, he's already got a full tree full of presents? It's like, you already got presents, dude. Why are you buying more presents? I just didn't get that. But anyways, it's kind of a small detail to go over. But so everyone's kind of panicking as Bushroot's plan is kind of taking hold. Everyone's kind of worried about their presents getting stolen. And then Drake, he goes in and he disguises himself as Santa, which is not a good idea because it just leads the angry mob to chase him. So he retreats out very quickly and then comes back out as Darkwing Duck. Yeah. So enter Darkwing here, and so essentially, basically all the trees, Bushroot has all the trees gathered around, and he's just going to kill Christmas, as he said. I mean, that's kind of dark. So Darkwing, he fends off one of the trees with a decoration gun. I really like this idea. It's like he just has a gun that just pops out like holly and tinsel and ornaments on the tree, and that subdues him. And then one of the trees, this is like probably the moment of the most personality from the trees. One of the trees that gets hit with all the decorations is like, ooh, look at me, kind of showing himself off to the other trees. It's kind of a little bit of a fashion show. So, like I said, these trees, it's like, for the most part, they don't show off any characteristics except for these weird little moments like that. So, okay, so let's see. And so I guess, Darkwing and Launchpad, they retreat, they hide in some presents, and then Bushroot, he's in a truck. He's driving in a truck, and he is kind of going all out with his plan now. He is singling the trees from a radio. I guess all the trees have stars now. I'm sorry I'm not explaining this well. It's just that I don't think that this special explains itself well. I mean, I'm kind of having the same problem I had with this one that I did with Darkwing Duck, or I mean with, I'm sorry, with Buzz Lightyear, in that maybe I just don't know these characters in this world well enough, but some of this stuff just really confused me. But anyways, so... so essentially, Bushroot, he's getting all the trees in everyone's houses to steal all their presents, and in a very Grinch-style plot, I must say. But when he comes to the Drake household, or I'm sorry, the Mallard household, I'm calling him Drake by his last name. When he comes to the Mallard household, he tries to communicate with the star, I mean communicate with the tree, but the tree's alarm gets tipped off. And with the tree alarm getting tipped off, Goslin comes running down, Goslin and Honker, and, Goslin's like, no one's going to be opening those presents early except for me. And by the way, I just want to point out, because I totally missed this, when Goslin's kind of going to open the present for the first time, when the alarm sounds off, she kind of gives this adorable mocking of Darkwing, where she's like, "I am the terror that unwraps the night." Oh god, gotta love Goslin. So Goslin, Goslin and Honker, they try and stop the trees, but it's a futile attempt, because the trees send a wreath at them, and they get caught up in it. And then Launchpad and Darkwing beat up with the two kids. And so, essentially, the chase is on. So, we got a snowmobile, and then somehow Darkwing and Launchpad get caught up in... I thought this is a really funny piece of, physical comedy. They get caught up in a Santa sleigh, with reindeer and everything. I think it's supposed to be a display. And then Goslin, she gets a rope out to them to try and get them back. But then with the rope, it essentially causes this effect where the sleigh itself becomes kind of like a kite. And and so essentially, Darkwing and Launchpad, they go flying just like Santa on this sleigh, flying all the way across the town. There will be blood reference. So they go all the way across the town. They very conveniently, meet up with Bushroot and the gang of trees. I also might want to point out at this point, Darkwing, as the chase is in progress, he whips out this very large axe, and he's like, all right, let's get to the tree chopping. He never uses this axe. He never does, and I'm kind of relieved, because to me that would be a little disturbing, because essentially, these trees didn't do anything. They're innocent bystanders in this whole thing. But most importantly, as soon as I saw that axe, the thing that came to mind is Sorcerer's Apprentice. I was like, no, Darkwing, don't use the axe. All you do is spawn more of them. So I'm kind of disappointed that didn't play out, because that was really what I was thinking was going to happen, that he was just going to chop up all the trees and then they just respawn, like the brooms. Oh, God. But anyways, so, so... They catch up with Bushroot. He's got his army of trees, so one big final climax happens, and Bushroot introduces Darkwing to Douglas Fir, the big master tree. This whole thing is fucking ridiculous. I mean, it really is. It really is. Oh god, I had a hard time keeping my attention with this episode. I mean, I assume that if I went back and watched some of the really good Darkwing Duck, I'd really like it. I enjoy the character a lot. Of course, like all the characters on the show, I really enjoy. It's just for some reason this episode is just batshit crazy, and I just don't get it. I don't understand. They don't understand. Okay, but anyways, so essentially a fight breaks out with the trees, and what resolves this whole thing is Darkwing gets his beak caught on a fire hydrant, Christmas Story style, because it's a frozen fire hydrant, and it looks very painful as he's like trying to get himself off of it, and eventually the hydrant itself just whacks onto him and then cracks, and ooh, that's gotta hurt. So basically, after Darkwing disguises himself as a snowman to ward off the tree's impending ornaments. By the way, I think that's kind of a funny conceit with this episode, is that the most threatening thing that these trees can possibly do is throw ornaments at Darkwing. It's like not very intimidating. But you know, so he gets into a snowman. Do you want to build a snowman? And then the resolution comes when he uses the water from the area where the fire hydrant was on and freezes all the trees and freezes Bushroot right in his tracks in the process. So yeah, so that's it. Bushroot's story is complete, as Philip Seymour Hoffman, as Patch Adams would say. My story arc is complete. Except I didn't get a proper Scrooge arc, because Bushroot did not know what the meaning of Christmas was. He was just kind of trolling around like a dick for most of the episode. Right, do you like my impromptu Philip Seymour Hoffman? God damn it, do you see what happens when I do shows by myself? It's not a good idea. Oh, rest assured, Adventure Blue Dude will most likely be on with me for the rest of the shows until Blue Dragon 5 gets back. Oh god, because I know I'm just glubbing it up. So anyways, kind of, the special kind of wraps up like really rapidly. So essentially, I do like this idea though. I like the idea that when Darkwing goes to fight Bushroot, he leaves Goslin, Honker, and Launchpad with the presents that Bushroot stole, and they're going to go deliver them back as Santa Clauses. They've all got their beers and everything. I wish we could have seen a little more of that. I think that would have been fucking delightful. You know, like, oh, hey, I'm Darkwing Santa. Or I'm sorry, I'm Launchpad Big Santa, and I've got your presents. Oh, yeah. Oh, you know, maybe even see him deliver a present to Scrooge. Oh, here's your present, Mr. McD. Nice to see you again. Launchpad, what are you doing on my property? Oh, God. Okay. DuckTales humor. Yeah. So, but anyways, we see this. This really kind of pissed me off. It really kind of pissed me off. This makes no sense whatsoever. This is why I don't like this special very much. Okay, so Darkwing comes back, and you know, and Goslin, Honker, and Launchpad are sitting at the truck, and Darkwing's like, "Oh, the long faces! I just got rid of the villain." And Launchpad's like, "Well, we delivered all the presents except for Honker's family. We couldn't find any of his presents." And I guess this is supposed to be the big emotional center point of the episode, but it just comes out of batshit fucking nowhere. Honker barely has any lines at all. I think Tank has a far bigger role than Honker does in this particular episode. I mean, Honker really, he's just not important in the grand scheme of things with this episode at all. And then all of a sudden he becomes like the big fucking Tiny Tim, and it's like, oh, feel sorry for Honker because he doesn't have presents. So you know, he goes home to his family, and you know, Darkwing's like, oh, I wish that was something we could do, and Honker's just like, no, that's okay. And so then, so with the end, I guess, you know, Darkwing and company, they break into they break into the Muddlefoot house as Santa. I really do like this whole conceit that Tank, like I said, Tank gets like 3 substantial scenes in this episode, as opposed to Honker, and this whole emotional dilemma at the end is supposed to be about Honker, but I digress. Hank, he's just being a dick, so he hears Santa's on the roof, so he runs and he literally puts a bear trap in the chimney. What a dick thing to do, just saying. And, but of course, Darkwing, he comes through the window, and Tank's like, no, you're not supposed to come through the window, and he grabs on Darkwing, and Tank goes flying into the bear trap and up the chimney, and oh hoo hoo, cartoon violent antics, ha ha ha. And then Darkwing, you know, he comes in as a Santa, and this moment really fucking confused me. Honker, he just runs up and hugs Darkwing. Darkwing's got a whole thing of presents. Alright, so what's the fucking dilemma then? It's like they couldn't find Honker's presents, and then all of a sudden, magically, Darkwing's just got a sack of presents for him? What? I don't get it. Like, where the fuck are these last-minute presents coming from? I'm sorry, but this thing is like the goddamn Dark Knight Rises of Christmas specials, because it's like, it's from a source that's really awesome, and it's cool. It's got some cool ideas, it's got a cool villain, but god damn it, there's so many plot holes that it's just impossible to ignore it. It's like, oh, 1 or 2 plot holes would be fine, but this makes no sense. So anyways, we get back to the frickin' Mallard household, and we see that Goslin gets a new sled for Christmas. Yay, whoop-de frickin' do, the end. It just doesn't... I know I'm being hard on this, but this is, like, by far the worst thing I've had to review for Christmas in July, and I was not expecting that at all. Oh, man. I mean, look at that thing, man. That's some beautiful disc art for this. It's like, the thing is, I was thinking, like, if Disney took the time to release this specifically as a DVD, it's got to be pretty good, right? I mean, maybe it's because I'm kind of a novice when it comes to Darkwing Duck, but I don't think so. It's like all my problems I had with this were purely plot-related. It was just batshit crazy most of the time. It didn't make sense. Stuff wasn't adding up unless I wasn't really paying attention. Oh, God. I feel guilty for being so harsh on it, but, you know, but that's it. I mean, this is really the first Christmas special of Christmas in July that I kind of actively am disliking. It really kind of took a lot out of me to get through it and write some notes, and oh man, I could hardly even get through the synopsis coherently. I don't know, it's just like I said, I do enjoy Bushroot as the villain, I enjoy his plan, I enjoy the trees and everything like that. I just wish Bushroot would have learned some kind of a lesson. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's just me as, you know, the formula whore talking right now, but why is this thing called It's a Wonderful Leaf if no one gets a change in outlook on life? Makes no fucking sense. It's like Darkwing is just as cool in the beginning as he is at the end. He doesn't go through any sort of a character arc. There's no character arc for Goslin, none for Launchpad. I guess that's my problem with this. It's just like, it's really shallow and thin, and just an excuse to kind of, you know, shoehorn the Darkwing Duck characters into a Christmas-esque thing, I guess. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this was kind of a mess. Okay. I mean, like I said, I just wish that Bushroot would have learned a lesson, because it's just like everything with Bushroot just gets taken care of so quickly. The pacing of this thing is just all over the place. It's hard to keep track of because so many things are happening. And like I said, I'm really bothered that that big axe that Darkwing broke out didn't get used, that he solved the problem in a non-violent fashion. I mean, come on, what's up with that? That's just lame. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, God. But, yeah, this, like I said, folks, this, it's the first thing in Christmas in July that I actively dislike. And I love Darkwing Duck. I freaking love Darkwing Duck. This thing, it's just like, there were plot holes all over the place. The motivations didn't really make much sense. And the characters were all very one-dimensional. There wasn't really a whole hell of a lot going on for anyone. Like, the thing with a good Christmas special is when you can get each and every character to be involved in the story somehow. This is kind of a failure of that, because it's like, fuck all if anything makes sense. Oh, I know I'm being really harsh, but I don't know. Oh, god damn it, it's the 20th. I've got 11 more days of this. Oh, Christmas in July is really starting to wear on me, I guess. And it's funny because it's like, I'm kind of criticizing this for not sticking to the tropes. It's like, I guess I've seen so many of them that at this point, whenever I see one that doesn't stick closely to the tropes, I'm more like, no, what's going on? This is wrong. Oh, God. Okay, so that'll do it for Darkwing Duck. It's a Wonderful Leaf. Seriously, what the fuck is up with this thing? Tomorrow on Christmas in July, like I said, I will be reviewing the Garfield and Friends Christmas episode, conveniently entitled A Garfield Christmas. Wow, really creative title. And then, excuse me. Ooh. And then the other thing I will be doing tomorrow, like I said, I showed this at the top of the show, but to remind you guys, I got the complete Calvin and Hobbes right here. It's very heavy. And all these sticky notes are all the Calvin and Hobbes comic strips that are Christmas themed. So I will be going through each and every one of those, and it should be a fun time. All that tomorrow on Christmas in July.